Welcome, folks. Great to be able to join you for a Friday morning chapel here. And what a week! It's been a challenge for many of us as we continue to move through, so a lot of you will be watching us, bringing worries about the future, worries about the present. All that's welcome. And today, what we're going to do is just try to create a little space here where we can focus on the biggest of pictures possible. And so, what I want to share is a beautiful passage from the Sermon on the Mount, which is Jesus offers this beautiful sermon filled with lots of wisdom in it, and it's a beautiful little piece of that. And I'm going to talk about that. Then I'm going to offer just a quick little spiritual practice that is very easy to say, very hard to do. So with that, I'm reading from Matthew chapter 6 here. This is Jesus talking about like serving other people. What are the acts of service and how are we to approach those acts? Be careful not to do your acts of righteousness before men to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets as the hypocrites do, and on the streets to be honored by others. I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full. So in other words, people who serve and it's from a selfish purpose. In other words, they serve so that people go, "Oh, you're the best thing ever." Jesus is saying, hey, they'll get their rewards. They will get people saying it, but that's not the point. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. Now the bigger picture there, and this is one I talk about a lot because I think it's so critical to understanding the spiritual message, the spiritual life, is here's Jesus again trying to shift us away from the idea of transactional love into transformative love. We've talked about that a lot, from transactional love into transformative love. And here he's even using the example of giving. Like a lot of the time, even when we give so that, and then fill in the blank, so that others will say, "Oh, look at what you did," or so that blah 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 blah. He's saying just give, just give. Now, does that mean that credit is a bad thing? Absolutely not. I know, like with New Church Live, we publish photographs of people serving all the time, and we thank people all the time because that's my spiritual work. My spiritual work is to witness to it and to draw gratitude towards it. That's my job. And I feel that when we do that, it actually starts to create ripples where other people see it and go like, "Oh yeah, that is a way to live. That is a way to do it." But the credit is never the point. The service, that's the point. Now, we see that a lot too in New Church theology. Here's a piece from True Christian Religion saying if we take credit, if it's all about credit and us. In taking credit, we have a continual focus on our own reward and a perception of it as our first and last goal. This stifles and extinguishes love for the Lord and love for the neighbor. In other words, love for other people. Love for the Lord, love for the neighbor, from a New Church perspective, those are actually one and the same. You want to love God, love other people. You want to love other people, learn to love God. And if our attention is going to be on credit, it's going to move away from love. In other words, if our attention is on transaction, it's going to be missing the transformative nature of love as it works through our lives. Now, here's the part I want to close with, and it's one that's really challenging. The challenging piece is this. One of the primary things we can do to try to increase our spiritual life, increase our heart space, is a very, very challenging, very simple to say, hard to do idea. And it's this. It comes down to two words. Stop counting. Stop counting. We live in a world where we tend to count everything. And boy, as a church person, I can fall into that so easily. How many people do we have? How much money do we raise? How much? It can very quickly get into that counting. And that counting will move me away from serving. Because then it becomes all about the numbers. It's a simple, silly one. A couple weeks ago, we did a little Facebook boost for a service and had 3,000 views or something. Not that that's a bad thing, but that's not the point of church. It's not the point of church. The point of church is something that looks in, that serves, that's a place of the heart. And so much of what we get caught up in is counting. Now that counting can show up in a bunch of ways. That counting can show up with how many likes did I get on Facebook, to did that person say thank you, to well, I did this for them, so they owe me that. All that stuff is counting. So anywhere in your mind that you sense yourself counting, specifically in terms of other people, like where you're counting what they did or what they didn't do, try your best this weekend to just simply let that go, to try to live a life that's not about counting, a life that's about service, and a life that puts you right into your life, like dwelling in your life in the reality of what it is today, knowing that God's going to put into that life the people that you are to serve. Find transformative love there. So that's our thought for this Friday chapel. And I'd ask you now to join me in a prayer, and then I'll do a little last blessing and wish everyone a great weekend. So please join me. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and bring you peace. Amen. Wishing you folks a great weekend. Take care.